What is up, everybody? Tim, High Noons Vinyl, your friendly neighborhood vinyl man. My buddy Rob at BlackStar Vinyl. He's having a contest. I would be a crappy friend if I didn't reply. It's kind of close to the deadline, so I'm kind of a crappy friend anyway. Love you, Rob. Anyway, he asked 419 questions. Grab a drink. It's going to be a long night. No, he asked 3 questions. One is in 5 parts, but it's going to be quick. So we're going to jump on in. And just so you know, I've come prepared for this question. And I still don't know what I'm answering. What's the question? Assume that music is fantasy football. For those of you who've never played fantasy football, essentially you have a draft of players from any team if they're available. So you could have a wide receiver from this team, a running back from this team, and then their actual points that or things they do in their games equates to points for you. So if you were to build a fantasy football team, so to speak, I guess you'd be basing it more on your favorites or who you have emotional attachment to or whatever the case may be. I got a lot of names. So I've kind of narrowed it down to this. And here's the moment of truth. So we're going to do 5 singers, 5 guitarists, 5 bassists, 5 drummers, and then 5 kind of like an any-all, like a fill slot, a utility, if you will, to round out your roster. The singers, I stopped at 5. It was real easy for me. There were others I wanted to add, but I was comfortable with this list. Ronnie James Dio, Rob Halford, Otis Redding, John Anderson from Yes, and Ann Wilson from Heart. Those are the ones that stopped me in my tracks. And I mean, there's others, but capping it at 5. No honorable mentions. Those are the 5 I mentioned. We're sticking with it. Guitarists. Well, if you know me, if you know my channel, Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Albert King. See, this is where it gets tough. I've got so many names here. I'm gonna say so many names. Yngwie Malmsteen and Robert Fripp. Told you. I mean, I've got names. I've got heat on this page. I'm just thinking of emotional connections I've had with their music over the years and things like that. So, bassists, same thing. Geddy Lee from Rush, Chris Squire from Yes, Ron Carter, the consummate Ron Carter. Steve Harris from Iron Maiden, and this is so tough. Give me Cliff Burton. And I've got heat. I mean, I've got heat. I'm not mentioning other than the names that I've got. Maybe I'll do a photo at the end, but there's some names on here. Drummers: Neil Peart, Danny Carey, John Bonham. You know what? Give me Tony Williams and I'm torn between 2. This is gonna hurt. Elvin Jones. I'll give you a hint. The other one was the funky drummer. Anyway, we're gonna move on. Utility. Like I said, this could be anybody. Prince. I mean, incredible multi-instrumentalist. Stevie Wonder. DJ Shadow. Bill Bruford. Dimebag Darrell. This sucked. I mean, mind you, this was a dick move. I know it's all in fun and stuff like that, and I mean, I had crazy names on there. So anyway, question number 2: 5 albums you have an emotional attachment with. DJ Shadow introducing. I've told this story a million times. I'm going to sum it up very quickly. Really bad time in my life. This album fell on my lap and made me keep going. It's a fold out, but it goes like this. Yeah. Jimi Hendrix Experience Access Bold as Love. His second album, to me, this was the greatest bridge between Are You Experience, which was he's the guitar guy, he's the freak out guy, he does all the cool tricks, to really accepting in the fact that he can be a true musician. And it just wasn't guitar and parlor tricks. I mean, he did guitar tricks pretty good, but this is a complete album. And honestly, it has seen me through some great times and some bad times. The outro to this album, which is the last track of Axis, it's the last of the Bold as Love. There's a beautiful outro. Depending on the mood I'm in, it either will enhance my mood or it will bring back emotion. It's that powerful. Court of the Crimson King. I hold this album in extreme high regard. So far, all of these albums would probably be in my top 10 albums of all time. This one really is, I equate this with my aunt and uncle that I've talked about in prior videos, who helped mold me in my musical tastes and interests. Because this was one that I would flip through their collection and I would go over there and record and stuff like that. But one day they were like, man, you listen to all this Yes and Jethro Tull and stuff like this. Sit down and listen to this. You're ready. And I really wasn't. I was 12 years old and I didn't know what was about to happen. I just know I saw this really weird cover when I was flipping through the records, and it was just like, nah, I don't even want to know. It's like, what's going on here? And when it was over, I got up and I played it again. It changed the way I thought. This is classical, this is prog, this is psych, but it's all done masterfully. I always equate this album to my Uncle Jack and my Aunt Judy. Jack, wherever you are, I love you. Try to reduce the glare. The final album from A Tribe Called Quest. We got it from here. Thank you for your service. This was the album that wasn't supposed to happen. Tribe Called Quest was done. They were broken up. The two lyricists, Q-Tip and Phife Dawg, weren't speaking to one another. I mean, it just was it. They were not speaking to one another. And there was no hope of reconciliation. Over the years, Phife Dawg's health was very, very up and down, to the point where he even had to get a kidney transplant. I believe from his wife, of all people. And his health was still kind of failing. And when you're faced in that moment, egos kind of get checked. So the fellas came back and they talked a lot. And even though the rest of the boys were on the East Coast and Phife Dawg was living on the West Coast, he was traveling back and forth at his own want to secretly record this album. Sadly, Phife Dawg lost his battle before this album came out. But this was the album that never should have happened. This, as emotional as it was for me to listen to the first time, hearing Phife Dawg's final words, it was still moving in a positive way, because it's kind of like, don't give up, man. You just never know. Never say never. So I love this album. I know some people kind of, it's okay. I love this album. I love every track on this album. And I love this band. And I have definitely an emotional tie to them. And the last album I'm going to show that I have emotional tie is thanks to you, you son bitch. If you know the history of this album and me and Rob, you know why I'm holding this album. A while back, Rob sent me some VCLT. We send each other stuff all the time. I got him recently on a package. And he was surprised. In fact, the last two things I sent him have been complete and utter blindsides. And he knows I have stuff for him here, because it's stuff that I know he's been looking for. But I will not send him 1 or 2 records, and he doesn't ever expect that I would, because that's the kind of guy I am. So he reached out, he's like, look, dude, I'm thinning my herd. I got Snoop on vinyl. You want it? Yes, absolutely, please, thank you. And he sent a couple extra goodies, and he sent this, because he knew it was my Grail of Grails. Go back and find that video if you would like to see me turn into an idiot. You want to talk about emotional? I spin this probably weekly. When I first got it, I spun it daily. This is a top 50 album for me and one of my favorite debuts of any band of all time. Jakey Lee brings the goods on this one, and if you don't know this album, this is the proper way to do blues-infused rock and metal to an overpowering degree. Sadly, this band is no more, and these albums will not see reissues because of the horrible actions of this person. Go look it up. We're not going to get into it. But Rob knew this was a grail for me and surprised me with it. And I love him for it. That's right. I said it. I love you, man. Let's make it creepy, shall we? No, but in all seriousness, he knows. We talk almost daily. So, lastly, you're about to be made a color in a crayon box. What color would you be and why? Purple haze. Peace, everybody. Love you.